very warm welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters here in Katowice, the World Championship, and also, of course, the WCS Winter Championship. We're deep into the round of 16. A PvP is on its way next, but before we get there, we do have a special guest star in our Pro Corner. Joining myself and Nathanius is Droga. Well done. Congratulations on winning first tournament of the year. But we are also going to talk about what happened yesterday, because I know it was a little bit awkward, but we also spoke, just before you came on air, that people quickly forget about people's successes. And I just wanted to remind everyone that you are, after all, the DreamHack champion already this year.
For 2 seconds, I thought you were about to congratulate me about my performance in this tournament.
No, unfortunately, I would like to, Drogo, but
it
wasn't really good enough, was it?
Nah, it wasn't good at all.
No. So what's changed between Leipzig and here? Because you look great in Leipzig. Everything was working well. Perfect results, great game plan, and you come here as people sort of go, oh, is it going to be a one game wonder? Is it one tournament? You know, is it like a fluke, or does he come here and play really well?
Well, if I just wanna say one quick and easy, I'm a one patch wonder. You could say that, but for real though, PvT was always really hard for me, and I had to change my style a lot. So completely new strategies. I practiced really hard, but I didn't really have 200 games of experience behind what I did, like this target opening in PvT. So she just kind of rolled over me. I did little mistakes, but in a high level StarCraft, little mistakes ends the game. So
absolutely, and it's a good friend, obviously, Daishi as well. And you've got good camaraderie amongst the French players. There's a lot of you now playing at the very highest level. So does that help you, or does it make you more competitive? How does it work?
Oh yeah, having a lot of good people in one nation, I think is very good. So that we keep each other at a high level. When all of us lose, then one random one of us is gonna still win the tournaments. It's a pretty great system.
Seems like France is the new Korea.
Yeah, people say that, but we will have to play really good, because right now Poland is looking very good, and maybe we're gonna get, how do you say, outgunned by Polish people? It's probably not the good word, but they can show us that they're better than us really quickly if we don't keep up a good practice a bit.
Spanked, I think, is the word,
isn't
it?
Spanked, yeah.
Spanked. We're learning new phrases all the time.
Nothing wrong with the spanking here and there. So out of that, then, how do you feel about the performance of the other French players at this tournament? Pretty much HuK kind of carrying the torch right now, right? Do you have a preference for which other French players you thought would have gone further, or do you think that HuK kind of doesn't really have too much of a chance moving on?
I don't think HuK is gonna go much further. Maybe he will prove me wrong. He's very good in tournaments, but yeah, I don't think so. But it's my personal opinion, and probably not. I'm not biased one.
I think that's fair. Were you surprised by what happened to Daishi and Lilbo then, or did you expect to have more French players go further?
Yeah, Lilbo got a bit unlucky, and Daishi played versus Bolt. I really don't think I would have won versus Bolt either. So, I mean, Daishi was better than me, but still not better than Bolt.
That's fair.
Yeah, fair enough. And Bolt's now going to play Firecake as well, so that's presumably he's going to come like the French killer or something now.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard for Firecake to win versus Bolt, but it's one of his matches actually where I think preparation comes into play, and Firecake is really good at preparing for matches. So if he knows a bit, Bolt has a lot of TVZ, he can watch a lot of Bolt's TVZ and maybe prepare some really good counter. So actually Firecake might do very well versus Bolt. Okay,
we'll see what happens tomorrow. In terms of surprises day one, was there anything that stood out to you that you thought, wow, I thought that guy was really, really good at the moment, and he lost? Was there any of those kind of games?
I don't think so. Showtime losing to Nasher was a bit sad, but that's all I really remember.
Yeah, it was a tough matchup. That.
Yeah, outside of that, there's not really any big surprise.
No. What about Littlebo against SortOf?
Well, I mean, I watched all the games, and it was really unfortunate what happened. 2 of the games from Lilbo were pretty much 3 wins, but it kind of fucked up the micro of his Stalkers, and you're not used to see that. I don't know really. SortOf played better in the end.
Okay, so what's next for you? How do you look at this season long? I mean, BlizzCon's a long way away. Still plenty of chances, lots of points up for grabs. You've still obviously got points from DreamHack as well. Is that a realistic opportunity for you to make sure you get there this year?
Recently there was a lot of tournaments going always, so I was always kind of thinking short term. I'm gonna learn this one quick build to snipe this guy, or I don't want to learn anything new because it's not gonna be ready for the next tournament. Now that I kind of lost terribly, I think I'm gonna get away from these mindsets. I'm just thinking long term. Like, I want to learn a new set of good strategies. The Koreans are doing it, so I want, like, rebuilds my good basis of gameplay, I guess, because everything I have in my back pockets is pretty much pre-patch. No, not like to whine about anything, but it's just
Sure.
right now on the current patch, I'm really not a good player.
Okay. Maybe some Korean ladder?
The Korean ladder would be helpful and should be coming in the future, but I can't really tell anything yet.
All right. Well, thank you very much for being here. Thank you to Nate as well. We'll hear a little bit more from Nate a little later on, but we are going to move on. We do have a PvP on our way, and we do have one of the stars of Poland. He is MaNa.
Being here in Katowice just reminds me of the first time I was here. I was playing with, I think, TLO in the round of 12 or the quarterfinals. And even though I lost, the audience was chanting my name, they were cheering me up. So it was such a lovely moment. And just whenever I hear IEM Katowice, I want to be here again. But this time not losing, but going forward, moving on. I think the very basic goal of mine would be just play good games. But the overall goal would be to play in front of the audience in Spodek. So reaching the semifinals will be already very great for me. I lost versus TLO. It was a very close match, 2-3. And I think I had a good possibility of winning game 5, but I lost to, I think, 2 Baneling drops. TLO is always so creative. So it was a very sad moment for me, but the crowd definitely cheered me up after the game because they were chanting my name and they were even chanting TLO's name. I think he remembers that as well. I think every round is going to be hard. I cannot imagine the hardest point. Probably the finals would be the hardest because it's potentially going to be the best opponent for me there. But I think every round is going to be tough and I'll just think about it round after round. If I keep on advancing, I'll do well.
We've played the first couple of games now in the round of 16, and obviously we're progressing at a rapid rate. And now it's time for Poland to see if they can get their first player through to the quarterfinals. 3 out of 3 have made it from the round of 32, which is already a big success for them. And then to see how far they can push it. And that interview I want to bring up first of all is that I think I was talking to you guys just now. It was almost 3 years ago, I think it was, when MaNa played on stage in that Spodek arena, I think in the quarterfinals against TLO a long time ago. And then, of course, he played the Season 3 finals, which is going to go down in his life as one of the biggest moments in his StarCraft career. And there could be a similar repeat if he's able to perform on a similar level again. This is a big moment for him, Ben.
It's beautiful having the crowd on your side. Like, I've had it one time, I think, when I was in England, you know, like the one tournament that we did have. But no, it's a really memorable feeling. And the fact that next game could potentially be against Nurture as well, and they have not just like a rivalry because they're from the same country, it's like a real bitter, oh my gosh, I want to own you kind of rivalry. Yeah. And yeah, he has to remember that. And the fact that MaNa's had such a long career, not where he's just like laid dormant either. He's had real peaks where he's been super amazing, and even with the last WCS where he just lost against Lilbo in the final, MaNa's been really good for a long time.
I mean, and there's that the magic about him to be able to, with that crowd behind him, it empowers someone so much.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, just to echo what he was saying, like I noticed that result that they had on screen, the first place in 2012. Like that's so long ago. This guy's been consistent for so long. Even if he's not winning every single tournament, he has been a big name in the scene, and I think he's got a real good shot here. You know, going into the PvPs. He's on his home turf. He's got a lot to lose, for sure. He talks about one of his biggest memories of his life, something he's never going to forget. It's going to be playing on that stage. And unfortunately, for what we have set up here, playing on that stage is tomorrow, not today. So he's got to win, and I think he's got a good shot.
Yeah, Maynard, though, HuK cannot be counted out as much as MaNa's been around forever.
He
so is HuK. He's also won a DreamHack a long time ago.
HuK and MaNa have been in here since the beginning of StarCraft 2, And he's got tournaments under his belt a long, long time ago, like MaNa. It's been a long time between drinks for him. And it is PvP. So, I mean, MaNa, I feel, is the stronger player and will probably take this series. But with the meta in PvP, it's all about those disruptor shots and, you know, getting punished for it and that sort of thing.
And honestly, as far as peaks go of these players, you can say HuK had a greater peak. Like, at his peak, he was arguably the best foreigner, if not the best foreigner.
I would say he would have been the best foreigner at that point.
Yeah, like he won MLG, won Home Story Cup, a DreamHack as well.
So like 2011.
All within the same time frame, but MaNa's been good, like just a little bit behind him at that moment in time, but he's kept it for so long. And if MaNa really wants to play in front of the Polish crowd, I don't think there's a much easier opponent to go through, to be honest. So, like, MaNa is really set up to achieve his goals and his dreams here.
Yeah, I think he's going to be pretty happy of all the people that he could be playing in the round of 8.
Not all the people, but also the matchup too. He played Pili Pili in the first round, and I mean, he practiced for one PvP, he's got another straight away. That's obviously a bit of an advantage.
Yeah,
might work against him though. The VODs are available, and in PvP, how many tricks can you have up your sleeve? And if you know how an opponent plays, but would he have gone all out against Pili Pili? Probably not.
I mean, he said it was a very easy match for him. I think on the couch he said to be not to be disrespectful, that was too easy.
Yeah, he said he was disappointed.
Yeah,
he was disappointed.
it was not to sugarcoat it.
Yeah, it was
literally what he said.
To not be disrespectful, I was a bit disappointed. I expected to have a more of a bigger challenge.
That's like when we were talking about Idra earlier, when he was sad about playing Elfie in a final. He was like, man, I wanted him to be way better than that, you know.
But this will be a challenge, no doubt.
Absolutely. HuK is going to be a bit more of a challenge here, and I don't think it's going to be a 3-0. I think it's going to be a close series, and it's going to be pretty intense.
HuK's got a lot to prove too. Like, as far as EU versus NA banter goes on, like everybody knows EU owns them, but there's one loud mouth, and there's one mouth.
There's one guy.
Yes, like from HuK, he seems to like have the whole of NA on his shoulders, kind of thing, and he likes to make it a war too. So if he could potentially get through MaNa here. Yeah, that would be great for him. That would be great for the NA scene as well.
The thing is with HuK though, and with that loud mouth, is in Nation Wars, I guess he was able to take wins and to allow that loud mouth to shine through. But in other tournaments, I think the DreamHack Winter Tournament, the legs of the Void Championship, he had that loud mouth and wasn't able to back it up. And Leipzig was very similar as well.
Yeah. Well, so he started this tournament off with a loud mouth, but that was an Australian. And this is MaNa, the European. This is
a big difference there.
A bit of a difference there. Yeah.
MaNa, like HuK has beaten some good players. Like we always praise Marine Lord, but I think at the was it at Leipzig they actually 3-1 Marine Lord and knocked him out of the tournament possibly, or at least in the groups he beat him. So HuK definitely has the potential to beat good players, but PvP, I don't think it so much comes down to build orders anymore. It's like straight up to micro. And
who's got the edge then?
Oh, MaNa.
Who's got the top 3 control in the world, guys?
Top 3.
Is it MaNa? Is it MaNa?
It's top 3 NA.
Self-proclaimed man himself talking about micro, you know. But when it comes to MaNa's just extremely solid, man. And, you know, he's got that whole Terminator face and glare going on too. Like, he's a very good player.
Literally the T1000.
Okay, so we got MaNa here. Are we going to have a score?
3-1 MaNa.
All right, MaNa.
3-1 MaNa.
3-2. 3-2 MaNa.
So we're all going MaNa then.
Yeah.
We'll go and find Poland. Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen. It is time to go to the commentary team for this one. And you may have noticed the real loudmouth of the analysis desk was missing. I wonder where he's gone. Let's go over to the caster's desk.
He's right next to me, Sean, to be bringing you guys this PvP. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. The entire analysis desk is going for MaNa, but I think, Jeff, you probably have a different opinion.
Well, I like their analysis talking about how he has good chances and a lot of 3-1s in there and stuff like that. That's fine, score-wise, not the biggest of deals, but I think it's gonna be really close. And yeah, of course I'm pushing for HuK. I think it's much more interesting to have a little bit more NA representation. We've been yearning for it and asking for it for years, and we have almost never gotten it. I mean, it was Idra way back in the day, and HuK, like they said, kind of in his glory days, but now he's got a chance to make a message.
I mean, it's going to be a close series, I think, though. If you just look at the history between these two, MaNa is 9-8 in maps against HuK. I'm not going to talk about when it happened because it's years ago, but in series it's 4-3 in favor of HuK, so it couldn't really be any closer. I think this is going to be a 3-2 either way. As you guys can see, we're loaded into the very first map of this awesome best-of-5 PvP. It's going to be played on Prion Terraces, and on the top side, I believe it's HuK? Yeah, okay, I wasn't sure, I didn't look at the name tag.
Huckarino. Little guy, and already we have something a little bit odd going on from the man from Poland. Can we see all 3 Polish players advance? We want one of these guys on the stage. It is Liquid MaNa.
He's the first one to play in the round of 16, correct?
The first one to play, yes.
I mean, all three of them are still there.
They're all three here.
Yep, Nurture goes up against SortOf later today. I believe that's today, and then I think tomorrow Elise will go up against Iosonu.
Yeah, ZVC.
That all makes sense. It's going to be double gate on both sides. I don't think that's very surprising. MaNa, though, dropping both gates on the low ground. That's kind of interesting.
Do you know what this is? Because I mean...
Oh, if it's a full wall up, then this is a cheese.
Okay.
Is it
behind it?
I think
sure
this is a full...
Well, we're about to find out.
Yeah, it is. It's full wall up.
Okay.
Okay, so if I'm HuK right now, I'm getting paranoid already. It's like, all right, if you scout this on ladder, it's like, all right, mate, where's the proxy Stargate? Where's the proxy Robo? Maybe MaNa can turn this into an advantage and somehow not cheese. But because it's harder to scout, but it's very weird. Most of the time when you go for a full wall up, you want to proxy something on the other side of the map as well. But he did reveal already that there was a probe on the other side, so...
Yeah, and he scouted with it too. So I do think if you're going to do the proxy, you absolutely don't scout with it. Obviously, you don't have enough time. And you also do the math in your head. You're like, is this guy cheeky enough that he literally sent 2 probes out there to sell it that hard? No, they don't do that because there's so many proxies that are capable. But also, it's worth mentioning, it used to be huge in the meta that 2 gateway opening was so you can get 2 adepts out and into the mineral line. It's not really the case as much these days. It's much more like 4 stalkers. And to that effect, having the gateways where they are and the pylon where it is, that's actually kind of dangerous.
Yeah, I think with a full wall up, it's very safe to open up with stalkers, and then you can even rally the stalkers across the map, because if your opponent wants to open up with adepts, well, go ahead and send those adepts to the other side of the map.
No, of course. No, what I'm saying is stalker versus stalker. I would rather not have the gateways at the front like that.
No, not at all. But I don't think... I mean, I still think that 2 adepts openings are fine if you don't play against full wall-ups. Like, I think it's guaranteed damage. You always get a couple probes here and there.
Yeah, HuK scouts it though, so he'd be crazy to open a adep. I can't imagine him doing that. He, of course, does not have a wall-off of any kind, so that might actually invite MaNa to do it. Let's take a look here. It's just now finished. Nope, it's going to be Mothership Core and Warp Gate first. Not the adep. So he's not going for anything crazy fast.
Just going to expand? Okay, he's just going to expand. So he's playing mind games already. I mean, PvP has always been traditionally about mind games. Because if I'm HuK right now, if you place yourself in HuK's position and you take a look at his vision, you scout a full wall off, this is scary. Like, most of the time when people do this, they want to all-in you. You know, it's a one-base all-in because they don't want to worry about defending at home. So adepts can sneak into your main. So it's all aggression. So obviously the expand is going to be a lot quicker for MaNa.
Yeah. And that, by the way, it's a gold base on this map. So, like, if he has that expansion and HuK either doesn't expand immediately himself or kill MaNa, it's over.
I think he's going to be the one proxying that. Maybe 3-gate, okay, Stargate follow-up, and then he could always proxy a pylon into another gateway as well for faster warp-ins. HuK has always been an aggressive player. That doesn't mean he's an all-in player, because he can absolutely macro. People that say that HuK can only all-in, they're just silly.
Wrong.
Yeah, they are absolutely wrong. But HuK is, by nature, a very aggressive player.
Mothership Core hovering around here. HuK is going to kind of apply some pressure forward. The Sentry is actually really awkward in the stance, of course, because it cannot, well, that force field, no, not even that one, does not lock them in there. Photon Overcharge avoided, which means that with the 50 energy, by the way, there's not going to be another Photon Overcharge for a while now, so he really needs to make the hold here. Losing a Stalker, Sentry low in health, I think he should be okay for now, though he does have Stalkers coming out of here, so it's going to be, he gets the Photon Overcharge, which means the Oracle is going to have an opening.
Yep, it's going to be very tricky over here as well with rally points. MaNa has to be very careful. I think this one gateway is going to get picked off though, so it's important that MaNa rebuilds this gate. Because if you lose this and you go up against 3 gateways, you don't have enough production to stabilize anymore. And obviously, like you mentioned, he really has to worry about the Oracle.
Ooh,
great snipe there. I really think this is starting to look great for HuK.
And nice scout here with the Adept actually coming in. It's going to zip on by. You got to be kind of careful about that. Robo does go down behind this for MaNa. And now we have an Adept in the mineral line. Now the gold base, by the way, again, keep in mind, a Nexus does go down for HuK behind this, but all this time with the gold can just go miles ahead in a PvP when they both have the same tools. So HuK's really got to do damage here.
But I think he will though, because he should have access to more units, and he also there's one photon of judgment. That is a great force field indeed. Oh, okay, that changes everything.
Locks in 2 Stalkers, so it takes away the threat, but here comes the Oracle. This mineral line has been evacuated though. Now keep in mind, there is some energy on that Mothership Core, but not a lot. It doesn't have enough for another... you got to kill those. Yeah, okay, so he was touching 4 probes, and it's like, all right, we'll finish them off. And actually, the 4 Stalkers are a little bit late to the party. They're going to come over here, and a couple more probes will die.
Well, getting 5 probe kills. I mean, at the end of the day, this is still very good for HuK, even when his expand is a little bit later. 29 workers against 17 gets 1 more kill there on the probe. I mean, that photon overcharge, as amazing as it looked, was probably not worth it in the end because of that Photon Overcharge. Yeah, killing 2 Stalkers is great.
Stalkers weren't the bigger threat.
Yeah, but losing 7 probes to the Oracle, that is absolutely not great. There's another Oracle flying across the map, while HuK is all over MaNa in game number 1.
He is, and Immortals are coming out of that Robo, which is like good later, but for right now, actually not good at all. So, I mean, the gold base is going to shore up the difference here, but keep in mind, Rotterdam hit the nail on the head with this. There's 29 probes versus 17 a few moments ago. Of course, those numbers have changed here. We see 31 to 23. But now the gold base equalizes, and all of a sudden HuK is instantly saturating it. HuK is way ahead.
Yep, he's going to drop his 3rd and 4th gas immediately as well. If I'm HuK from this point on, I just want to do the same thing as my opponent, because if you do the exact same thing, but you do it off the back of a much greater economy. Oracle does get sniped there, by the way. Nice pick-off, but 3 more pros go down, and I believe there is still 1 Oracle alive. But, you know, if I'm ahead in a PvP, I just want to do the same thing as my opponent, because I will always have access to more units, and that should allow me to win the fight. Unless you go up against Sparting or something, and they really out-micro you, but, you know, HuK with his top 3 control should not really be out-microed by MaNa.
In theory, I suppose. And you're exactly right. And we can see, actually, too, HuK does have basically the same stuff. He has the Stargate on top, of course. A little bit early Twilight Council. But interestingly enough, we see a Warp Prism coming out from MaNa. What do you think of that? What do you make of that?
I find it kind of weird, because it makes me think he just wants to harass a little bit. But do you really want to harass against a guy that has
a Phoenix, right?
Yeah, exactly. He makes 1 Phoenix. He has a Stargate. Your opponent has a Stargate. This hallucinated Phoenix won't see it. But still, very risky what MaNa is doing over here, and I don't think he will ever be able to do a whole lot with it. HuK already going up to 3 bases.
Yeah.
And I think HuK is in a phenomenal position game number 1.
We'll see how on top of HuK is, because he scouts out the front of that natural, doesn't see an Immortal that he knew was being made. So it's kind of like, all right, where are you? And honestly, you should be like, it's a Warp Prism, so.
Then again, you know as well as I that sometimes the things that make absolutely no sense in PvP are the things that allow you to kill 14 workers. You know?
Oh God. Well, we'll see here. It's not a full drop. MaNa would like this to be 2 Immortals, but maybe actually that's why he has the 2 Stalkers, by the way, is in case a Phoenix is made. But some decent damage being done here. Photon Overcharge, of course, not going to be enough. There's that long-range pickup, and he is out of here. Now, HuK taking that fast 3rd. By the way, I want to hear how you feel about this, but I love this. So when you're ahead in a PvP, in my opinion, one of the absolute best things you can do is expand faster than your opponent, because it is such a big deal in PvP.
No, absolutely. It just makes perfect sense, right? Especially when you're working with the same units. If he attacks you, the 400 minerals is not going to make the difference.
Overcharge.
Yeah, and you have Photon Overcharge, and you were mining way more early on. Yeah. So the 400 minerals, he was ahead more than just 400 minerals. So I think this makes perfect sense what HuK is doing. And MaNa, the Prism, even though it's very risky, maybe I don't hate it as much as I thought I hated at first, because you need to do something, right? And just Blink Stalkers running across the map, that's not going to cut it, because your opponent will have Blink Stalkers as well. So the Prism, as risky as it is, I guess he needs to find a way to make up for the economic deficit he was in early on.
I have to agree. And MaNa's about to get the bad news, by the way. We see, I think, a hallucination making its way across the map. And it's like, oh, damn. I mean, and the worst part about this map, and it's not that we're going to make this a huge complaint, but like, there's so many gold bases that when you find out, oh, he's finished the gold base, like I haven't even started mine, the decision's made for you. You have to attack. You don't just expand behind that. There's nothing you can do, and that's exactly what MaNa's going to do, is pushing out here. And it's tough. If HuK holds this, game over. And in PvP, I feel like it's better now, because there are units that can catch up to you. Like if you get a big disruptor shot or 2, that's how you come back in a game.
I think MaNa is actually going to expand, though.
Well, maybe with like excess money behind this, but he is pushing out. He wants
the
to get
units are going to clash in the middle of the map. MaNa was not paying attention. Force fields will go. Oh, the Prism!
Oh, he does evacuate the Immortals, though. They're going to do some damage. And they do get walled off by the force fields here. We're seeing a lot of that in the Korean scene, but the Immortals getting isolated and destroyed means the teeth of MaNa's army has been taken out. He is going to retreat with his tail between his legs, and the last Immortal also dies. GG is called out. And in that EG versus Team Liquid rivalry match, so far, HuK 1-0.
Yeah, I think MaNa did not expect to meet HuK's army in the middle of the map over there. He was obviously looking at that adept that was blocking his Nexus. He looked at it and suddenly he's like, oh god, there's an army. Picks up the Immortals, great snipe there on the Warp Prism. Forced MaNa to drop the Immortals, and then they were trapped in a sort of half donut of force fields. Just an excellent game there by HuK, though. I do not really understand what MaNa tried to achieve with his full wall-off opening.
Yeah, well, the mind games, I think you're right. I think you're not wrong. And that expansion, by the way, like, because this happens, and I'm a far more inferior Protoss than both these guys, obviously, but when I get that wall off, I think the same thing as you a lot of times. I'm like, okay, this is going to be some cheeky Robo, a Stargate. I've got 3 Stalkers in my mineral line. I've got my Mothership Core patrolling back and forth. Nothing shows up, and then you have that hallucination, or you have the Observer go in there, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh. like your expansion started, but theirs is done, and they've got 12 probes on it. You know how far behind you are there.
Yeah, I guess it is mind games, and starting off a PvP with some mind games in a best of 5 is not the worst idea out there, but it just didn't really work out. And I loved HuK's response. You know, he had double gate as well. He's like, well, since I have double gate, if you're not doing anything, then I'm just going to try to do something. And he did a lot. He picked off that gateway. He forced all, you know, MaNa's priority, focus, attention on that wall off. And then the Oracle was able to sneak into the main base, pick off 7, 8, 9 workers. And, you know, that's it. Then HuK is already satisfied. Cool, let's play a game from here on. You know, I've got 12 workers winning you. And
I do love Stargate tech in that situation as well, because it's going to give you all the information on planet Earth. Unless you really mess up with that Oracle, you're going to constantly have the ability to be on top of their tech and know what's going on, and also harass, which is of course the primary function in this situation. I want to ask you though, like in that situation, you scout out the third, they have it. MaNa does expand behind this, so he's not all in with that push out. I think the push out's fine, but what do you think? Do you think it's all in? Is it like drop 2 gateways, go for it, or what's your call there?
I feel that even if you decide to go for the all-in on that moment, it's one of these all-ins where your heart is not really in it, because you know, like, I'm gonna make this attack, but I know he's gonna have more than me, and I'm gonna probably have to fight upper ramp in range of photon overcharge. I think, as annoying as it is, you still gotta try to expand, and I think that MaNa just kind of wanted to test the waters, but still expand. He just did not expect to meet HuK army in the middle of the map, and of course, gotta give credit where credit is due. HuK saw that army move out. He's like, cool, my army's bigger, let's fight, bro.
This is what I want.
Yeah.
One final note on that too. I do like in PvP, this was something that threw me for a bit of a loop, because I came into it a little bit pessimistic on the unit, but we're seeing more sentries in PvP, by the way, which is like the one matchup where you're kind of seeing them. And at first I was like, why? Disruptors ignore them, adepts ignore them. If you have Blink, who cares? But it's because in the early and mid game, there's a lot of immortal play going on, and Protoss players, particularly the ones in Korea, kind of leading the charge on this. They're doing a really cool thing. They're isolating the Immortals and grabbing them, and once you remove them from play, their army is just so much more easy to take on.
Yeah, I totally agree. Of course, Funkai is showing us that over here on the right bottom side of Runes of Ceres, we're looking at the main base of the EG Protoss. It is HuK.
You were getting nervous we were going to talk about this.
No. I was nervous that the producer was getting nervous.
Oh, I know. I
Introduce the players.
What if they never say who it is? And his opponent, of course, trailing 0-1, needing a big game here. It is Team Liquid's MaNa. Opting for something very different here. The fast expand again for MaNa. This time, of course, no trickery behind it.
I'm more of a player or a Protoss in the way that HuK is opening right now. You know, the double gate on Runes of Ceres. I love it. I think it makes a lot of sense. But what you don't hope for is cross map, because it just takes. I do feel that this is an adept map, by the way. Like, I know Stalkers are becoming more and more popular, but I feel if you open double gate on Runes of Ceres, you're opening adepts.
And in this case, by the way, I love MaNa's opening. Look at his ramp. At the top of that ramp, he has what is the beginnings of a wall, and of course not a full one. But if adepts do show up, instead of trying to hold both the natural and main, he'll say, okay, evacuate the natural, go to the main, probably wall this off, and then be fine from adepts.
Okay, he of course has to worry though, because what is very popular here is what HuK's doing, and this is a build that Pili tried to do multiple times. He succeeded once and it failed twice. Is, you know, a couple of adepts to harass, and then you proxy that third gateway, and then it's just, because if you know your opponent is expanding, first your adepts can do economic damage, and then you have access to more units. Your warp gate technology is probably going to be a tiny bit quicker as well, and then you just warp in stuff. That's actually not going to be the case. It's a Stargate again as a follow-up for HuK. Okay.
Not a bad choice for all the reasons we gave. You're going to have the scouting, you're going to see the tech. The cross-map situation is, to a certain extent, mitigated by this as well. The fastest moving units are, of course, the ones that fly. Keep that in mind, guys, in case any of you have wings.
We do see 2 additional Stalkers. I do think that this is going to be a proxy gate, though. Maybe it's like a 3-gate with a Stargate this time. I have the feeling that he wants
Which I like, by the way.
Yeah, I think it's great. Again, with this build of HuK, there's a very good chance he's going to be able to make this work. And MaNa's going to have to put up a phenomenal defense if he wants to keep all of his probes alive and this Nexus eventually.
Does he wall off? He did.
Well done.
MaNa on top of it, of course. So the cancellation there from HuK, and he's going to back away. Some shield damage done, but there is that third gate, Rotterdam. You're on top of your game. And MaNa is on top of his as well. He sees there's no natural, and that, of course,
big scout, very big
drops
scout.
down the options. Oh, they get in the base, though.
And this is sloppy, though, because it's not a single pylon over here.
No.
And the Stalkers are so far out of position. This is also, I love this as well. Always have the shades active when you're the adept player. This is great for HuK. This is what he was looking for. That's 5 probes. That's such a big deal.
gets out, sees gateways being added on to the front of the National. Even the Mothership Core coming in. Why not? There's no pylons. MaNa is making a bit of a mistake. You always have a pylon back there. The adepts are going to come back in here. He's losing so many probes.
Le Massacre, Jeff. Le Massacre. There are already 10 probes going down over here. And let's not forget about the follow-up. It's going to be an Oracle. It's going to be 3 gateway Stalker pressure as well. And I actually think that MaNa only has a single pylon powering those gateways in his natural. This pylon...
Which is leading the front of the ramp, by the way.
This pylon is going to get sniped so quickly, so badly.
Well, all of a sudden, the kind of mood issues we're having in the Team Liquid house is starting to make a little bit more sense. Mothership Core does die here. Nice pickup for MaNa. HuK is a giving guy.
This is really not good.
Just going to back off that pylon, yeah. Right choice. Here comes the Oracle. It is spotted, by the way. The main is basically vacant of all probes, and HuK should probably just keep warping in units and just apply the pressure.
I really felt that HuK should have just tried to take out that pylon at all costs. Even if he eats a couple of extra shots on his Stalker, I don't think that's a big deal. On powering the Robo and the gate, much bigger deal. I mean, he can still do it right now.
You're going to get your wish in a second. If that was an Immortal that came off the Robo, MaNa has a chance. But being it not an Immortal, he's in so much trouble. He's actually out of position. He's worried about the Oracles.
Oh, God.
And there's no pylons in the middle lines again, by the way.
MaNa's just not ready for this. He's going to lose all of his workers. This is an absolute disaster for the Polish Protoss. He has made multiple very big comebacks in his life, multiple O2s, but this is going to have to be another one as HuK picks up Runes of Ceres. Did he even lose a unit in that game other than the Mothership Core?
Just the Mothership Core.
Or maybe the Adepts eventually, but...
Oh no, both the Adepts, you're right.
So he lost 3 units, but flawless victory there for HuK. Awesome build, and I gotta criticize MaNa's build here a tiny bit. I feel if you're not ready to deal with a double gate opening, what is your build ready for? Because I feel it's such a popular build for Runes of Ceres.
Especially against HuK. Like, HuK is going to do a 2-gate opening 95% of the time here. He is the aggressive Protoss. We know that about him. You can make that prediction. And like you said, if your build doesn't have that kind of in mind, then what are you preparing for? Are you hoping HuK does a 1-gate Stargate or something? That's not what HuK does.
Nope. I mean, that's a Heart of the Swarm build, you know. Legacy is just a whole different ballgame. And he did warp in the pylon the first time, but missing that pylon the second time, you know, on top of his ramp, when you want to keep the Adepts out, that was disastrous because he, with his build, he has no pylons in his mineral line, like 0. That is
Both
just
mineral lines.
Yeah, that's just sweet heaven for a double Adept. I mean, MaNa has made a couple of remarkable comebacks, and one that I will never forget was in WCS Challenger. I think it was against Happy, but all I know is that was a season where the finals would be in Poland. He really wanted to make it to Poland. He was down 0-2. Oh no, it was against Hero Marine, I think. Hero Marine.
He was down 0-2 twice.
Yeah, in Challenger and also like in the actual tournament. And 2 times he turned it around. I think it was against 4GG where he was down 0-2 as well.
Yes.
Just crazy. So MaNa definitely is familiar with being down 0-2 and still winning the best of 5, but HuK is looking ridiculously good in these first 2 games.
HuK's looking good. He hasn't dropped a map the entire tournament. We're in the second round for him, but no,
still, all jokes aside, going 5-0 at the Nintendo Extreme Masters, and people say like, oh yeah, he played Pig. I even read on the internet like, well, Pig is a joke. Pig is absolutely not a joke. He's actually pretty damn good. Just HuK was able to pick him apart, and then some people said, well, he was floating like 1,200 minerals. Yeah, he was also harassing 4 bases at once with Adepts. Like, relax, guys. He was actually just playing very well. It was not Pig being a free win.
No, actually, as a guy that's been watching and playing with HuK for a long time, I can tell you this is actually a very good form of him. He is a player who kind of favors micro over macro, and his money can get out of whack a little bit, but actually 1,200 for a Protoss, by the way, for a lot of you guys, this might be news to you, but in the middle stages of the game, that's actually not a big deal because you have 8 gateways and you kind of want 1,200 minerals to actually utilize said money, but I digress. This game, as you said, MaNa's going to need a big comeback, and there is a lot of magic in these Polish players. Like, we've seen those comebacks last year at Katowice. We've seen MaNa make it deep into that tournament to face Lobo in the finals of that WCS season where nobody would put MaNa in the top 2.
To go back a little bit about what you just said about HuK's current form. You know, a couple of weeks ago, I was spending a weekend in San Antonio, worked at PAX South. HuK was there as well. We worked for 2 days straight, and after he had played 0 games, he had to play a WCS qualifier, right? He played 0 games for 3 days, pretty much, after 2 days of working and 1 day of traveling. At the end of like a Sunday afternoon at 5 p.m., HuK sits down, goes 3-0 and makes it to the winner bracket final of that qualifier and barely loses 2-3 against Petraeus and then barely 2-3 against Masa. I thought that was incredibly impressive. Like HuK does not play for 3 days, sits in a weird booth somewhere in the middle of an expedition center and then plays really good StarCraft. I was like blown away. I was like, even though you didn't win, I thought it was very, very impressive.
Not bad, but Kevin, I fear if we don't introduce these players, our poor producers are going to have an aneurysm. Let's talk about this guy in the red trunks, his Total Biscuit, a good friend of mine would say. Leading 2-0 from Team Evil Geniuses, it's the Canadian-American hybrid, HuK.
Switching it up already as well over here on Dusk. I believe it's a Nexus first. Loving it. I love everything that HuK's doing so far. On the right top side, hailing of course from Poland, the man that is familiar with comebacks. Can he do it one more time? It is Liquid's very own MaNa.
All right. And now that the producers can relax and be happy, we do have yet another
full wall off double.
Is it a full wall
Yes,
off? You and I, we keep being in this position. I think it is.
That's a full wall off, man.
Man, I could fit through that though. You know what I mean? Maybe sideways. But it is a full wall off, and he has a probe out. Now this, no, he doesn't have a probe out. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Okay, good. My terrible eyes.
He scouted the Nexus first, by the way. So right now, if I'm MaNa, I definitely go all in, because if you don't, well,
it's probably Stargate. He'll probably do the same thing to HuK. He'll say, "Fine, I'll do this."
I think he'd do it with a Robo.
Ooh, I actually like the Robo, just the knock down the door, like proxy Immortal,
or just like drop 2 Immortals in the Immortal and lift up a couple units.
Yeah. But then you come in there and he's got 5 Void Rays and you're like, what are you doing, HuK?
HuK's going to scout, and it's a little bit tricky because what is very good against the Robo all-in is a defensive Stargate if you're HuK. But if you go defensive Stargate and it's Dark Templars...
Or it's just a bunch of Stalkers.
Yeah, then you're stupid dead, so...
it is Robo, by the way.
Yeah. I think it's a good choice. HuK scouted the front of MaNa, and I think if I'm HuK right now, HuK plays NA ladder, by the way. Not all the time, but he plays it sometimes. So if he scouts this, man, HuK's on
God, he's on top of it.
HuK's playing so good right now.
And this becomes, like, guys, ready? Ready? I can time it. 1, 2, 3, MaNa just shit himself.
Yep. And I want to see HuK's face right now.
He's 0-2. This would be the time where we cut to MaNa's face, because there's a deep sigh.
Yep. Well, what is your perfect response, by the way? If you're a HuK right now, like, I like 2 gateways and a Stargate. I think that is very good against the Robo all-ins, but that's just me.
Yeah, and with the Stargate, you make Void Rays, in my opinion.
Well, yeah.
Phoenix are fine, but it's a little bit too like, oh, I did a bad pickup, that's it.
True. But Phoenix, picking up Immortals is so phenomenal, though.
Yeah. Well, you know what else is good here, too, though, which is actually super underrated? I wonder if HuK will go this route, is actually Sentries.
Yeah, I was about to say Sentries could be a choice with just defensive 3-gate and Sentries.
This is not a good response.
I don't think HuK needs to do this. HuK, you don't have to be here.
No, the Immortal's going to come out and punch these guys in the teeth if they stick around.
Yeah, but HuK's playing with fire. He's showing off some of that top 3 control, though.
Loses a probe. No, I think he's not yet, but you make a couple sentries. You have a couple pylons there to buy yourself time, and then you go Stargate.
HuK, you don't need to do this, man. I wonder if Barrier is on autocast or not. Oh, MaNa loses. No, well done. Turned off autocast. I think that's very, very good. But MaNa did end up losing a Stalker over there.
Immortal, yeah, Photon Overcharge. What is he doing? Yeah, of course that happens. Okay, he's got 3 Stalkers behind this, so it's not super disastrous.
Whoa!
Luck of the HuK. Get out of here.
4 HP. We had 0.2 seconds.
I really want to see a sentry, though.
Yeah, 1 sentry is GG at this moment.
100%. He's not doing it. He's just going to go for the all-out damage, shooting down the Stalkers, but trading his own for the Immortal that doesn't have the shield.
As well. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, MaNa might just tap out right here. He won't, because he's got the heart of a lion, but this is really bad.
This is a disastrous series so far. It does force out another
Photon
Overcharge.
That was too soon, by the way. That was way too soon.
You want to drop a Photon Overcharge for guaranteed kills and nothing else. Get a sentry, HuK. 1 sentry and you win this game.
Is that a sentry? No.
Yeah.
There it is, okay.
HuK is playing phenomenal StarCraft over here. There we go. That's a GG. Well, he doesn't have Photon Overcharge.
Okay, there you go. No, I know, because he was too early earlier on.
But no barrier on this Immortal anymore, so this Immortal is going to fall. And this is still a good trade for HuK. He has 3 gateways. He has a better economy. 4 gateways, actually. One of them is not morphing. He has to take care of these adepts, but he's picking off all the Stalkers of MaNa, and Liquid's MaNa is in so much trouble.
Equal-ish supply, but it's an all-in situation, and so far he's just not doing the damage. I believe another Immortal is coming out. Yes, it is.
Cancel the adepts over there.
And there is even an Immortal here.
Not a sentry as well.
Yeah, playing with fire. And these sentries now, it's over, by the way.
Yeah, MaNa's got to give up.
As long as HuK doesn't really mess up from here on out, he should just flat out win.
The only thing that MaNa could maybe do is make a Warp Prism after that Immortal, so he has 2 Warp Prisms, maybe shade the adepts past it and then drop the Immortals. I mean, obviously you're not going to give up. Tournament Live is on the line over here. You want to go further. He wants to play in front of his home crowd once again. Krakow last year was probably one of. Oh, HuK, you don't have to do this.
It's kind of interesting to go down here and do this. There's 2 Immortals, though.
It's
so
interesting and just silly. I really don't think he has to do this.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'm starting to agree with you as this is turning
Oh,
worse
the
and worse.
Adepts were not focus firing very well, though. The Adepts have to shoot at the Zealots. They do a lot of damage to Zealots, and they're actually shooting at the Stalkers.
But both the Immortals are alive and healthy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he still has force fields. Oh, MaNa. Okay, this look. What? What? Okay.
Okay, hang on. Let me just recalibrate my brain for how bad that was.
I
believe he thought he could force field off the Shade for a second, which is absolutely not what HuK thinks is true.
HuK
Now he's fighting an Immortal.
No, HuK. This was a sure win, mate. And he should still be a very sure win.
What is happening right now? MaNa's like, HuK,
oh God.
You are far too generous. Allow me to donate these units, please.
MaNa is still down in supply. There's still a Mothership Core over here, while 2 more Stalkers get picked off.
The 3 Stalkers fighting an Immortal is something that I have nightmares about, Kevin. I don't
That
understand
force field
it.
is going to give me nightmares for a long time as well.
You know what? Let's get both these guys out of the booth and have you and I play a PvP for $8,000.
I'm not sure if that's going to be any prettier, Jeff. Let's be honest over here.
It'll be a little bit prettier than what we just saw. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to give myself that. And then what?
I don't know. I really don't know what's happening.
The Adept's like next to him. He's like, hit the button. Hey, hit the button. And the guy's like, no, bro, you're going in. He's like, all right. I got it.
I mean, how does MaNa think he's going to run up this ramp?
He's going to try. He's going to deliver the Adepts.
Okay, he just lets. Okay, well, that's a good force field, actually. I like
Kind
that.
of.
No, I like it. I think it's a good one.
Yeah.
He gets 2-3 Stalkers, another Stalker strat. That was a very good force field by HuK.
Yeah.
Whew. Little shaky there in the
both
end.
these guys are like, I'm uncomfortable how bad we're playing. This is it, though. The Immortals are going to die right here, and with it, that is going to be it for MaNa. Like, he might stick around and try it. No, he taps out HuK. 3-0's MaNa.
Flawless
and
victory.
6-0 in the tournament. The man's going to the quarterfinals.
Very, very well done. Just great. Oh, HuK. Oh, look at that. And just another day at the office. I think he's imitating the guy from the Overwatch trailer.
It's good to see a ceremony out of HuK. It's been like 5 years since he's done anything like this.
Great series, though. Awesome performance by HuK, man. He was just all over it from the start of game number 1. Reacted everything. He read through the mind games. Loved the game on the Runes of Ceres as well. Perfect execution. And
the scout was sick.
Yeah.
To see the ramp, and then he actually didn't go low. He went exactly for that spot and saw what was happening. It was amazing.
Yeah, I love pretty much everything that HuK did in this series. Even besides a couple of the final moments there in the last games, like, HuK, you're sitting on 2 bases right now. There's really no need for you to do this.
They're like one-upping each other for bad moves. It's like, aha, you gave me an Immortal? Well, here's 4 Stalkers! Like, both of them were like, I want to lose. It got a little bit weird there.
Yeah.
But
I have this on, if you're about to win a big game and you know that you can't really mess it up, somehow there is like something inside of your body. Like, let's see if I can mess this one up.
No. The worst feeling is when you're miles ahead and you make a mistake, and that's not a big deal, but then you make another one, and then you're like, whoa, and your hands start getting like slippery. It gets bad. It's happened before.
Well, it was a victory for North America. HuK advances to the quarterfinals, and let's hear what the boys at the desk have to say about that series.
Thank you very much, Kevin. That has to go down as obviously the best celebration at this event, but the best celebration I think we've seen in a while. We've had some good ones from HuK in recent times. Nation Wars 3, the syrup drinking.
That was so sick. I mean, my prediction was wrong, but I'm so happy that it was because of that ceremony. That was great.
What I liked the most about this celebration, though, was like he's doing the celebration. It's obviously for the camera and the people at home, but then MaNa
walks in. He's like,
MaNa opens the booth and he's like. He just did this to me. But then he shook his hand. It was all like, oh man.
I know, because you can see like on HuK's face, like the door. He's like, oh shit.
HuK scrambled, like, oh my gosh.
That was brilliant. But you know, to the serious point, that was an obviously very clean, very professional, just get the job done type of game coming out from HuK there, and he did everything he needed to do. And you know, there was obviously a lot of hype, the backing of the Polish people or the Polish crowd, and a lot of support for MaNa, but HuK completely shut the door.
He got spanked, man.
Yeah,
MaNa did. I was on the Poland hype train, but after that, I don't know. Like HuK really brought that. That was just insane. I'm like at a loss for words here. And he really showed up to this tournament, that's for sure.
Yeah, MaNa even started looking desperate doing some cheese in the last game. So I was like, well, how do I beat this guy? Oh, cheese. And then HuK actually scouts it really early on as well. So really well played by HuK throughout the whole series.
It's like everything went his way there, really, throughout the maps there.
Certainly.
Any last thoughts then before we go over to HuK has now arrived on the the pro corners, Red has been calling. Any last thing?
My only thought is that I'm incredibly entertained by this tournament, and it gets better every day.
This whole day's been fantastic, from Haas to HuK celebrations. I just want to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, it's still a lot more games to come, but for now we can go over to the pro corner. Red Eye, hello, are you there?
Absolutely, always here, always ready. And yes, we do have HuK over here as well. Thank you very much, gents, on the panel. We'll start things off, HuK. Firstly, congratulations, obviously, a 3-0 win. And we'll take you back to your comments about Europeans, because they're fairly valid now.
I mean, yesterday I spoke on it. I think Europeans are better than North Americans, but I think at the highest level, the few top NA players that we have, they're very much equal or better than Europeans.
Okay.
I added the better today.
Yesterday
Yesterday it was equal. Today I added the better.
Okay, good. I'm glad we've clarified that as we move through the tournament. The celebration, a little bit of fun.
Yeah, like.
But you didn't mean to be disrespectful. I want to make that clear to the viewers as well, because that's not what you were doing.
Yeah, I mean, the casters were talking about how he opened the door. MaNa's like an incredibly nice guy. I consider him a friend, so I don't want to take away from him. I don't think he played his best, and I think he knows that too. And I know he wanted to really show up because it is Poland, his home country. So it's just like, I'm a showman. I want to, make everybody have a good time, let it be entertaining. So I'm always going to do stuff like that. I just hope he doesn't take offense.
No, I'm sure he won't, especially as you've cleared it up. I mean, talk us through the game. How do you approach the game? Because you know that the weight of Poland is on his shoulders a little bit, but there's also that support element there as well. And you're the bad guy in this scenario. There's no winner really for you.
Yeah, it was a difficult match because I practiced with Pili a lot, actually. I practiced like half PvZ, half PvP, knowing that, the next match would be PvP, and I thought I could beat Pig. I don't know, I feel like I got lucky. I feel like my builder orders countered his. I mean, if you go Runes the Ceres and you go fast Nexus, double gate is usually going to do really well against it. So I think his build orders were just kind of countered, but at the end of the day, like I said, I don't think he played his best.
The panel said almost everything that could go right went right for you. Would you agree with that? I mean, even the third game where it was a bit of desperation on MaNa's part with the cheese.
I would definitely agree with that, but the panel's wrong a lot of times. I mean, I think they all predicted that I was going to lose 3-1, 3-0.
No. Hands up, I did.
They all predicted.
I
Yes,
did.
yes. Maynard shaking his head like, yes, we did.
Okay, all right, okay. I was trying to save you boys, but you're just throwing yourselves in the hole. So where do you go from here? It's quarterfinals now. Anything can happen. This is such an open tournament. You could win this thing.
I mean, anything's possible. I think on a Lugalak, I had less than a 1% chance when they did the statistics of it happening. Who's my next opponent? SortOf or Nurchio, right?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Which they play next.
I think Nurchio's favored, but I practiced a lot with SortOf, so if I played SortOf, I'd be happy because he's a really good guy and I get along with him better than Nurchio. But at the end of the day, I have a good chance as long as I keep playing the way I have.
Yeah, I wanted to ask how your thoughts are, obviously, on the performance of NA players at this tournament, because now it's basically you and Neeb representing, America and Canada at this point, and
Massa too, no?
Yeah, as well.
Yeah, Massa's in there too.
Your thoughts on which of you guys have the best chance of taking out, the Koreans, which is obviously going to be what everyone's talking about if you guys are able to beat the Europeans first.
Neeb, definitely. I mean, we all know that he's the best player online. I don't know if he can bring it to LAN experience. He definitely struggles a lot more.
Yeah.
I think if this was an online tournament, Neeb would be the strong favorite. I mean, he's beaten Polt and Hydra numerous times, so.
It's similar to Polt, who seems to be destroying French players in the top part of the bracket. If Nurchio ends up getting through, you've got to play another Pole. That's kind of depressing. You're knocking out everyone's favourites.
You are becoming the villain of this tournament if you beat him too.
Fast becoming the villain.
I don't mind.
You don't mind? You're okay with that character?
Evil geniuses. I mean,
hey! That was easy. Did that work? Was everyone okay with that pun? Okay, good. Yeah, everyone liked that pun. You see, normally it's me doing the cheesy stuff, so I'm glad you're here, Chris. Congrats very much. It's a fantastic victory to win 3-0 and obviously come through Pig as well. And good luck in the quarterfinals. We'll see you on the main stage.
Thank you.
Tomorrow. It's going to be very fun. Right, that is it from Pro Corner, but we still have more matches to come. Still more round of 16 action on the way, so don't go too far away.